Hi, my name is Dan Edgar. I work in the learning experience team here at Hive Perform. I'm going to show you how I use Buzz Curator to create learning content that supports the needs of our sales team here at Hive. So in this case, I'm going to imagine that our sales director has reached out to me and pointed out that some of our sales team aren't as familiar as they could be with how Hive Perform supports businesses with onboarding new sales reps. So I've collected some notes in a document, including statistics, some case studies, and some other key insights that will form the knowledge base of the content that we're about to create. That document that you upload can have lots of things, and it could be lots of different things. It could be a transcript, it could be some rough notes, it could be some more detailed information about something you need to share, like a catalog of information. In this case, I've just given it what I think it needs to know. But the next thing is it's going to ask us about that document and about the problem we want to solve. So this version of Buzz Curator is a bit experimental, but it will be available very soon. And it deals with small buckets of content rather than trying to build out a whole sales academy on day one. Part of the reason for that is we want to start solving those problems at the point of need. So, for example, imagine that this was super critical to my sales team's function to be able to understand the onboarding use case. So we can now create that content really quickly and to a really good quality and get that to them as soon as we need them to have it. I've given Buzz Curator some information here because it's asked me. So I've told it what the document contains. I've also told it my problem. So in this case, I've described my problem as my sales team aren't talking enough about the value of high performance onboarding in their sales calls, and they aren't familiar with the onboarding problem or how we as High Perform can help. Buzz has then reviewed the document, and in the workspace, it's come up with its solution. And it's proposing a series of cards that talk about things like common problems with traditional onboarding methods, which is great, setting the scene. How High Perform solves those challenges, that's fantastic. Some real world success stories, including from our client Phosphor, which is really cool. Some of the key benefits of our solution, and also overcoming objections. I'm going to ask it to add another card with a quiz, because at the end of all this, I want to be able to test my sales reps to be sure that they've onboarded the information correctly. Now, the workspace in Buzz Curator is basically your instruction manual for AI, and you can have whatever you need to be in here. You can adjust the tone of voice, the kind of cards it creates, the topics it covers. You can add lots of context here about your sales team or their particular knowledge or experience in the sector. So basically, instructing AI what you want to build. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to tell Buzz to generate, but you can spend as much time as you like with this stage. At this next stage, when it is generating the sprint, or in this case, the sprint word is not quite applicable, it's a pathway of cards. It's preparing things like the objective for that pathway using our learning methodologies that we've developed over the years to come up with the right structure. And it's now going to actually be creating the cards as well. Here's an example of what that looks like on the other side. You will receive your content in Sprint Manager, which allows you to schedule a deployment in the future or to be able to make it go live today if that's a really urgent need. And you'll get all the cards generated and you'll be able to click in and out of them. And if you need to make further edits, you can make further edits. So, for example, if you click on the three dots here and click on edit, you can very quickly adjust what AI has created just to make sure it's the right fit for you. So that's how I use Buzz Curator, and you can very quickly find that you can be building lots of content to solve specific problems that your team is facing, and you can update that content on an ongoing basis, which is great. So I hope that helps. Hi, my name's Dan Edgar. I'm part of the learning experience team here at Hive Perform, and I'd like to quickly show you how I use Buzz Curator to solve some of the problems that I have to deal with when it comes to designing content for our sales team. So, just a bit of context here. I've uploaded a document called Competitors, which contains information about some of Hive Perform's competition. As I continue with the Buzz Curator chat, I'll just set the scene by explaining that last week I created about 6 cards quite quickly using this methodology and gave them to my sales team and said, I hope this helps as far as explaining Hive against competitors. They gave me some feedback that suggested that the content was too much. So there were 6 separate learning cards, quite a lot of generic basic detail about each competitor, but nothing really that helped them with their sales conversations. So I want to restart this process and get Buzz Curator to build something a lot better and a lot more succinct. So I'm going to start by telling it, yeah, I'm ready to create this content. Can you tell me about the document I've given it, and I'll also let it know the problem I'm trying to solve. So this version of Buzz Creator is slightly new, but it's going to be available fairly soon. So this is a document containing info on Hive Perform's competitors. And the problem I'm trying to solve is I need a single card that very succinctly, in a bullet point list, gives our sales team a high-level description of each competitor and how they compare to Hive Perform. And that's it. So what Buzz is now going to do is it's going to suggest the kind of content it thinks we need to solve this. So here we've got, it's basically kind of, because I've also provided it with the solution here, it's that's what it's done. But if I was to have put in a problem that said, I actually don't know what I need, it will help us out there. So this card will help the sales team quickly understand the key differences. So I'm also going to just add to card one an instruction that each competitor profile should include talking points of comparison or an easy to remember quote to differentiate between Hive Perform and the competitor. So this can be quite a quick, easy process. It can be a little bit longer if you want to put more of your time into it. My top tip for Buzz Curator is that pretty much everything in this workspace can guide the output that you generate. So often, if you don't know what you need, you can get AI to quickly generate something and work off of that. But if you definitely know what you need, then just the more information you give it here, the more of that information will go through to the next stage. So sounds great. Should now then just check that we're happy. I'm going to say generate just to get it to know that it's okay to go to the next stage. The original version of Buzz Curator would have created lots of content, so pathways and sprints, and it can still do that if you have a really big, meaty bit of learning you need to share with your team. But for these small bite-sized interventions, you can just start building up your corpus of knowledge, as we describe it, so that you can quickly solve those problems day to day. At this stage of the process, Buzz is now designing the outline using learning methodology. So you can see here that it's describing objectives and it's describing titles of cards using some of our best practice when it comes to tone of voice and style. This can all be adjusted, particularly in that previous workspace. If you were to ask it to write in US English versus UK English, it can differentiate between that. You can add more whimsy. So if you think your sales team are going to react better to more sort of hilarious or engaging blog type titles and descriptions, it can do that. You can explain to it you'd like it to be a quiz or a series of polls. Basically, it's up to you how you want Buzz to create what you want it to create. This version in particular, what's good about it is if you find that it's not doing the right thing, you can quickly go back to square one and it will build it for you the way you need to build. I think with AI in the design world, we've flipped a switch a bit where we used to spend a lot of time building something out to what we thought was perfection, where actually AI allows us to build something out in minutes, and that something helps us to iterate it over time so that it's always better. So for example, here, my 6-card pathway on competitors was not helpful to the sales team. They've come back to me and said, can you give me something that's a bit simpler? I'm now doing that for them. So this is a little bit of the waiting game. I often go and grab a coffee at this point just because it gives me a nice bit of thinking space to think about what I need to do next. And now it's done. So you can see here it's going to create one card, or it has already created one card with the title Competitor Overview. And now I go into my sprint manager, so I can sort of decide when I'm going to publish it and all that kind of information. I just want to actually check that it's okay. It saves as a draft card initially, so I can make any edits. Here we've got straight into basically describing competitors. So much more succinct, much more easy for our team to hopefully pull from. So that's Buzz Curator, and you can do this repeatedly over time, and you can get it to build whatever you need. So let's keep in touch.